Alright, hey guys, this is David here, and we're here with Twisted Danns and Turkey Tom for the Cartoon Tuesdays podcast, and five uh,
Hello.
we have five topics we have to get to, and I'm just gonna have Turkey Tom introduce himself real quick.
Hi, my name is Turkey Tom. I make Mr. Enter fan videos.
Alright, do you want to get to the first topic?
Sure.
Sure.
Alright, the first topic is made by Twisted Danns. He said, thoughts on the new Powerpuff Girl?
Oh, oh, I hate the idea, but I'm willing to give the Pop-Up Girls reboot the benefit of the doubt. Who knows? Maybe something good might come out, but to be honest, I'm very skeptical. Like, I don't know, the idea of introducing Strucker and judging by what I've seen from the screenshots, this whole idea sounds very sketchy. Like the idea of the first thing that definitely caught my attention was the fact that the character is African American, which means she's the first up supposed to be black. And like I want to accuse the pop-up girls of trying to like pander the SJW, but since that's what they've been doing through the entire runtime of the series, I just can't help but wonder they just did that to pander to the while her being a black character isn't necessarily bad, sketchy to me. I just can't help wonder they did that to pander. She kind of looks like an OC character. Sorry, OC, not OC character. And I don't know, their design is kind of weird. Like I don't understand why her hair is blue. That's all I have to say.
Well, I still haven't seen the episode. I don't know if I think it's premiering tomorrow according to my guide, my TV guide. I think all they're really trying to do is pretty much use this as they're trying to get some attention to a pretty much dead show because the show has just been premiering on Boomerang, which is basically their dumping ground at this point. I don't like to call it that, but it pretty much is. It's been premiering on Boom.
You know, the thing about trying to catch attention, that's something I've been hearing, but I'm not sure if that's true because I think they started working on season two a little before the show started getting very low ratings. So maybe they had this idea for a while, but they just didn't really. It's just that now it's the best time for them to use it, which is kind of like convenient to them. I don't like. Maybe this is just to grab attention, but it's possible they've had this idea for a while.
Yeah, I think probably. I think what they should have done with the series in general is, although I know Craig McCrack was already busy, but I think what they should have done is kind of uh, do what SpongeBob did in seasons 4 and 5. Steven Hillenburg didn't completely leave the show. He was just not working on it. What they had did was they turned in almost every episode to Hillenburg and had him review it and tell him if it was good or not. They stopped doing that after season 5, which is why you saw 6, 7, and 8 be awful. And I think seasons 4 and 5 of SpongeBob were actually pretty strong, so I think that probably could have worked with the Powerpuff Girls if they had tried that.
I mean, I can't really. I'm not sure if I should blame Cartoon Network for not calling Craig McCracken. I mean, or if they wanted to revive the Pop-Up Girls, maybe bring the original creator was the best alternative. But if I'm not mistaken, when they started working on the Pop-Up Girls, like Kirk McCracken was working on Disney, so it's possible that he had a contract on Disney that didn't allow him to work on Cartoon Network. That's something I heard. I'm not sure if it's true, but
I think he
I've
was.
heard something.
When I think it debuted in 2016. They probably started working on it in 2015, so we probably did have
Yeah.
that contract. I think they should have at least had like a main writer or something like that that could have played that role.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of this reboot.
I
And every day, I just keep finding new reasons to not even care anymore. At this point, like initially, I was very furious. Like I was very angry at the show, but now I just keep like I keep watching, like listening to what the show's been doing.
and they're
Like
just
the
expecting
holes
at this point.
with what's his name, Hero, and all I can think is this even worth it? Like I don't think I'm ever going to look because it's obvious that the show doesn't really want to honor the original. So if that's the case, then why even bother?
Yeah. I th- I when I first heard of the reboot when it was first announced, I was actually pretty excited for it. And when I saw the voice actors, I was a little disappointed, but it's just it's just the voice actors really. Doesn't really affect the story as long as they can get a good impression of it, then that's fine with me. I watched the first episode. I went in there with high hopes. I was pretty disappointed though. I only watched one other episode besides that, and I pretty much just gave it up at this point, really. Your thoughts, Tom?
Powerpuff Girls suck.
What?
Your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm kind of impartial to the Powerpuff Girls. I didn't really watch it as a kid, and the few times I did watch it when I was, or I saw reruns on Cartoon Network, I just wasn't that into it. Looking at it now, I can definitely appreciate it for what it did for Cartoon Network at the time, and because it was a pretty good show. But I don't really care that much about the reboot, so I don't really care that much about the new character.
Yeah, I watched
It's
it.
funny because I feel the same way with Titans. I didn't
Guys,
grow up with Teen Titans.
I gotta go.
So,
I'll be back.
oh,
Alright.
that's okay. Like
Okay,
I
sorry. I
didn't
gotta go.
know Teen Titans, so whenever I watch Teen Titans Go, all I can think is, oh, it's all right. And I was familiar with the original, I would probably hate it because of certain things. Sort of like how they bastardize the characters, and occasionally the show can make fun of the fans of the original. But for me, I'm just kind of like okay, because when I see characters from Go, I see them for what they are and not. I never really compare them to the original, which is probably why I have a better time for what it is, and acknowledging some of the few good things it has, because I don't have the original Titans to sort of blind my view. Although with the reboot, while I there are a few things I can appreciate, like a few things I can acknowledge being good, like the backgrounds. I I don't know. It's probably the original kind of. I want to think that's why, but through my eyes, the reboot is terrible.
Yeah, well, I understand your view on that because if you uh if you take seasons I think if you take seasons discounting seasons 4 and 5 of SpongeBob, you take seasons 6 through 8 and compare them to seasons 1 through 3. I I take that as a just take that as a reboot. I really just can't see SpongeBob or Patrick from season 1 doing the same things that they did in that. Like, for Pet Sitter Pat, you had him absolutely just torturing Gary. Why? Because he's stupid. That's what they say. That's what they're trying to imply. The thing is, I can't
Oh
see.
yeah, I haven't seen SpongeBob, but I've heard that the episode where SpongeBob kind of, I don't know if he tortures Gary, but he kind of had, I've heard a lot of people saying that that was out of character because SpongeBob would never do that.
That's why. That's
I guess I
why.
can kind of see how being familiar with SpongeBob can kind of ruin the experience.
Yeah, that's also what I'm thinking because I just can't see the same SpongeBob from season one doing that, or the same Patrick from season one doing that. It's like having like the nicest person you know, all of a sudden like a few years later, robbing banks and murdering people. Like you just can't see that person doing that.
Yeah, although when it's a different season, that's a little less forgivable since, well, it's the same show, like the reboot, at least the Pop-Up Girls reboot, even though I don't like it, at least it's not it's not the original Pop-Up Girls. They're two different shows. So even if I don't like some of the changes they made and I do think the show is worse, I can at least give them, it's not even give them credit. It's just it's more forgivable in this case than SpongeBob because it's supposed to be the same show. Like they're supposed to be consistent. So if they're not this consistent, it's a lot less forgivable.
Yeah, I'm thinking that also because right now I don't really consider. Well, when you really look back at SpongeBob once it ends, like that's a huge amount of seasons and episodes. Uh, some people wouldn't really consider 6 through 8 as they would the original, or seasons 4 and 5 as the original series. As they would, yeah, they wouldn't count it as the same thing, basically, because it kind of, in theory, really is technically a reboot because they have a whole new writing cast and a whole new producer cast and everything like that. A whole new group of writers.
Yeah, I get it.
And then once,
But
yeah, once they stopped letting Hillenberg review the episodes of 6 through 8, that's what pretty much did drive the nail into the coffin. Because there were decent writers and stuff. There were good writers in seasons 4 and 5. And I bet they probably kept the same writers in 6 through 8. But they didn't have Hillenberg telling them like if it's good or not. So they figured, hey, if we think it's good, then it's obviously good, right?
I don't know. Like I've heard that Hillenberg wanted to end the show after the third season, so obvious that the show wasn't going to be the same as the first three seasons, but still, they should at least do their best to maintain the charm, sort of maintain what made SpongeBob good to begin with. While when it's a reboot, you do have the opportunity to like, give a new take. Yeah. That's
Alright.
why in SpongeBob's case, even though I'm not familiar with SpongeBob, given what I've heard, that's not really something that should have happened. Like you can't on the same show have two different films at certain phases of season. Like when that's the case, something's very wrong with the writing.
Yeah. Do you wanna? Well, see, Tom's back. That's actually pretty convenient.
Yeah, I'm back.
That's actually pretty convenient because I wanted to move on to the next topic, which is the
Yeah,
best
sure. Action cartoon.
best action cartoon. Yeah.
Well, I like some samurai Japanese probably.
That's gonna be. That's kind of a tough one, really. Uh, the I I don't know if I'd count. Does Because there's only one anime I've actually liked. Would that count as the action cartoon, or does it have to be specifically Western?
Oh, oh, okay. So if you can't come up with a cartoon, maybe you can Japanese anime. That's completely fine.
If that's the case, then I'm gonna say Dragon Ball Z, probably.
Oh yeah,
I used,
Dragon Ball Z. It's funny because I've actually been recommended to watch Dragon Ball Z a lot, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if I'll ever watch that show. And it's not really because I'm skeptical or I don't enjoy it. It's because there are too many episodes. There's no way I'm going to catch up to all of Dragon Ball. That also applies to Naruto and The Simpsons. Although The Simpsons, it's actually not impossible because I've actually seen a decent number of episodes, but Dragon Ball, I haven't even begun to watch it, and I'm going to finish that anytime soon.
I used to watch
But
that.
I've heard Dragon Ball's good by a lot of people.
I used to watch that all the time, pretty much. I just hold on. Never mind. Okay, I thought I was about to sneeze there. So I used to watch that all the time. One of my biggest memories is pretty much just the huge, gigantic, long battle with Frieza. Okay, sorry about that. All right, yeah. So that was a little much. So I don't know how you'd actually start on that series, really.
I tried watching like the first episode, and I guess Goku's a child, and he got to meet what's her name, Bulma, and steal his Dragon Ball. And for some reason, Goku thinks that is his grandfather. So I think he doesn't know that his grandfather's dead. So yeah,
I haven't watched it in a long
it's a
time.
start.
I probably haven't watched it in about probably 6 years, so I can't remember much about it.
You see, that's the problem. Like, how long have you been watching Dragon Ball?
How long did I watch it? I watched it 6 years ago, so uh probably about 3 years. But I never really paid attention to an action show more like that.
Well, we watched like one. It's like we watched the show since day one.
Your mic's kind of cutting out a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't really like anime. I made a joke about not liking anime in one of my videos. I said that it disgusts me. I think it's kind of stupid. I don't actually. This doesn't actually disgust me. I don't know. From a animation standpoint, it's just not very good. It's very limited.
The only anime I've liked is Dragon Ball Z. I just pretty much hate every other anime, really.
I don't hate any anime, but I don't know. When I watch Dragon Ball Z, even that for me, like they have some pretty good animated action scenes. I gotta say those are pretty cool, but a lot of it is just like their mouth just opens in like 2 or 3 frames, and like they just repeat, and they do a lot of reverse shot when characters are talking.
Yeah.
In the scenes when there's no action going on, like the animation is so, I don't know, just like loose, or not loose, but like limited. I just don't really like it.
that's actually one of the problems anime has. That there's a lot of still frame moments. Like there are a lot of moments when the characters are just kind of standing still. There's not a lot of body movements, and the
Yeah.
lip syncing is very lazy. And it's funny because
I
I
also
used
don't
to
like
think
how
that they only did action cartoons. but sorry, action shows to sort of save time and animation for the action scenes. But I started watching a few slice of life shows, and they have the exact same problem. So this is a this is a genuine issue that almost every anime has. Like I wish, like that probably won't bother a lot of people since they're probably used to this sort of animation techniques. But for me, for someone who watches Western animation, it's very noticeable, and I wish they would put more effort.
Yeah, like when I'm watching Dragon Ball, I've seen a few episodes of Dragon Ball Super, and like none of the background moves at all. Like none of the background characters move. I remember there was a scene when like Frieza had this legion of like people behind him, and like with like a little bit of mouth movement, and all the other soldiers behind him were just floating in midair, like frame doing nothing, and it looks so ridiculous to me. And
Yeah, I can understand that. Even there was, I think my brother actually liked, I think he liked Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. I think that was it. I think there was another one. I completely forgot what the other one was. Yeah, I forgot
Naruto
what the
that
other.
much.
I watched Naruto, but I
I
didn't.
haven't seen it.
Play the games.
I don't really like Naruto that much. I never really got into it as much as Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, pretty much. That's my favorite action cartoon, really.
My favorite action cartoon is probably I don't know. I don't know if I can do one. It'd probably be like Batman the Animated Series or Batman Beyond, but
Oh
the
yeah.
Spectacular Spider-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Oh
from
yeah.
2003, The Batman from 2004,
I
Motor City.
yeah, I really liked the
I like
but
I really like the Spectacular Spider. It's actually one of my favorite superhero cartoons ever.
I'd
Yeah,
say I'd say if I had to go with favorite superhero cartoons, probably Batman the Animated Series and the Batman. Probably most.
It's
Yeah,
it's funny because I was watching Batman the Animated Series, and I noticed there are several animation errors that I'm surprised a lot of people seem to overlook. I don't know, like the animation feels kind of dated to me. Stories, but animation wise, it doesn't really hold up in my opinion. The first the first few seasons.
I haven't watched that in a long time either. Actually, both Batman series, to be honest. But actually, no, I have seen the Batman like a few months ago. I watched like a whole bunch
I
of
think the Batman is pretty good. It doesn't. It had a lot to live up to, following Batman, the animated series. So definitely, it was almost impossible for it to live up to those expectations. But I think it did a pretty good job, and it was the Batman show that I grew up with, so
yeah. I grew up with
I
that.
still appreciate it.
I grew up with that
The songs
also.
are.
I remember the only few episodes I actually can remember watching as a kid were probably the Man Bat episode. There was more.
I remember the Man Bat episode, the Mr. Freeze episode, and then the Firefly episode. Oh,
Right.
and there was this one episode like with the Riddler that when they were inside of like this crate, like a shipping container in the ocean. I remember that one.
I can't remember what network that aired on.
It's WB.
Yeah, I didn't really watch that much except for when the Batman was on. It's such an odd title to say in like mid sentence. It really is. Um, yeah, I did watch a whole bunch of episodes on DVD a few months ago, just because I found them pretty much in my basement from because I have a whole bunch of DVDs in there and video games actually. Some of them are pretty interesting. One of them was the Batman, and I think I watched it. I rewatched it. It's still pretty good. I feel because you know how your viewing perspective changes as you age, but
Grow.
or
Yeah,
yeah,
I actually know how that feels. I especially felt that with Samurai Jack. Like there were several episodes that with me because of how mature I've become. Well, mature, I would say, relatively speaking. And yeah, there was this one episode where Jack was facing this version of him that was angry. So he had to learn how to control his demons or something like that. And as a child, all I could think is, oh look, Jack is fighting against an evil version of him. That's cool. But now I'm capable of absorbing the deeper layers, and I ended up liking the episode a lot more.
yeah, that's actually affected quite a bit of all the shows I used to like. But then when I rewatch them, they aren't really as good as I remember. I
When I watch Scooby-Doo now, I'm like, how did I watch this?
yeah.
It's funny because I haven't seen Scooby Doo, at least the original, in a while.
Oh yeah,
I
they
used to watch, I used to watch the original, and, there was, like, this one with, like, the kids. They were, like, kid versions.
I think it was
And then I also used to watch,
I think it was a
the
pup named
new
Scooby Doo.
Adventures of Scooby-Doo, which I actually own on DVD.
I basically only watched Scooby Doo, like the original, if there was nothing else airing. Because I used to watch that Boomerang, and
Well,
Oh, here's something that
I
aged
watched.
horribly for me. Goosebumps.
then yeah, yeah, I still kind of enjoy it, basically because of nostalgia. I I I still am a huge fan of the books. Uh, Pretty much the only books I ever actually read as a kid. Yeah, uh, kind of, but that's the only series I followed. Because I was a huge fan of that and the series when it was airing, or not when it was airing, but when it aired reruns. I still haven't watched an episode in a while, so I don't know how that really feels.
They have it on Netflix, so yeah.
Do you mean like the TV series, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
So, can we like jump to the next topic?
Yeah.
All
To
right,
the sale.
the next topic is the best reboot of a cartoon.
Well, I don't know if Mr. Incorporated is a reboot. I think that's more of a spin-off than a reboot, but out of all the reincarnation, that's the one I like the most. Like
Yeah, I like
I
that one.
genuinely like Mr. Incorporated.
Believe it or not, I still haven't watched that. I when it first aired, I wasn't really interested because I figured it was just another Scooby-Doo reincarnation. But I've heard some pretty good things about it. I probably should check that out.
Yeah, it's
personally.
good. Especially the art style.
I've seen the art style. It's actually pretty good. It
I think it's
resembles
good because it's kind of like the old one, like it's truthful to the old designs, but at the same time it has like a new sort of
it's like a modern fix on
art style.
the old art style, pretty much, which I
Yeah,
like.
it's funny because there's actually an episode where they kind of, well, I think it was just Scooby-Doo and several other classic Hanna-Barbera characters that sort of reverted to the old art style, and yeah, that was very interesting.
I don't know why I would consider my favorite reboot. Uh, um, from what I probably gonna think probably one of the big three of the ones that have so many reboots, which is Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and Scooby Doo. I'm probably gonna be looking towards that. Probably not Tom and Jerry because
The Looney Tunes show.
oh yeah, the Looney Tunes show was awesome. I don't know if that's my favorite though.
All I remember
Oh,
from
I
that
haven't
was like
seen
this
it.
one scene. Like I remember actually two scenes. One of them was where like the like asking how you say water in Spanish, and then the guy kept saying water, but it's actually agua, which really made me angry. And then I also remember this one scene when like Elmer Fudd was having sex with a grilled cheese.
Okay.
What? It's a show for kids, right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
he was like talking about the grilled cheese and like licking it in a very sexual way.
well, I don't remember that. Okay.
Just
Well,
no, I swear, just look up Elmer Fudd like grilled cheese or something. It's really odd.
Okay.
I've seen very little of the Looney Tunes shows. Although if we're going to talk about the Tom and Jerry reboots, I like Tom and Jerry Tales. I know a lot of people don't really like it, but I don't know. There are a lot of episodes there that I genuinely enjoy. But aside from that one, I think there's also
Oh
the Tom and
my.
Jerry show. But one thing I kind of don't like is how they try to art style and some of the
Oh, sorry about that.
old sound effects. It just doesn't work in a modern set. Like you can tell that there's something about the audio, especially with the sound effects of Tom screaming and stuff.
I personally think that Tom and Jerry is not the best show to reboot in the modern age, really. Because that type of oh, okay, I'm watching the Elmer Fudd thing right now, but um that type of formula really worked back when the original was first airing, but I don't think it really works that much now as much as it did then. That's why I've never
Well,
really.
one thing I can agree is that the style of humor of Tom and Jerry doesn't really today's age. Like I'm not even sure if kids today even like Tom and Jerry. Like the kids watch like the Tom and Jerry show because I think it has sort of like the same formula as the original. I can't help but wonder if people still Tom and Jerry. Like I'm sure adults still like it because of the nostalgia and they're just kind of used to that humor. But they watch it.
I don't know. I really the only time I really watched it was when nothing else was on, and because I used to watch Boomerang a lot, so if nothing else was airing on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or Nicktoons Network, I'd watch pretty much whatever was on Boomerang because it was a new experience for me because there were a lot of shows that I hadn't grown up on, so I used to watch Tom and Jerry, I guess. I liked the original. I liked some episodes, but overall it wasn't really that interesting to me. Like I wasn't
Well,
I
I
was
used to watch it quite a bit.
like I
I grew up with Harry in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, like air. Like I don't know in the United States, but where I used to live, they used to air Tom and Jerry, and in the early 2000s, and I had a lot of fun.
They air it early in the morning.
Yeah, right around that time
yeah,
for
they
me
still air
too.
it on Boomerang right now. I think.
Yeah.
So, what's the worst reboot?
Yeah, the worst reboot. Is this in terms like of an actual show or compared to the original?
As an actual show?
Um, I don't know. I'd probably have to say I still haven't watched the Ben 10 like the latest Ben 10 reboot. I think they've really just absolutely killed that franchise pretty much. Because that used to be one of my favorite shows. Like the original, it still is
Yeah,
kind of.
I used to like Ben 10 a lot, and like I owned the like season 1 of the original series, and now it's like doing.
I used to have that I used to have the Ben 10 watch that you could play games on, and friends used to think that was
I
just
had
so
the
cool.
one that I didn't play games on it. It just had all the aliens.
I think if you could play games on it, and me and my friends used to fight about who got to have the next turn. That was great. But I still haven't seen that latest reboot. But as of right now, I'd probably have to say the Powerpuff Girls reboot. Oh, actually, would the Magic School Bus reboot count? I
Is it out yet?
I think so. I don't know. If it's
See the
out,
trailer.
I'm sure it's gonna be the worst thing I've ever seen. But like I saw one
I don't
look
know.
at the
I don't
at the
really.
art style. I already know how it's gonna be.
Honestly, it's very hard for me to care for preschool cartoons. Although regarding the Ben 10 reboot, when I first watched it, I thought it was kind of, but I don't know. Like I haven't really been into Ben 10 for a while. It's been 7 years since I watched the original. I think 3 years since I watched any Ben 10 incarnation. So at this point, I think I'm just kind of sick of the existence of Ben 10. Like I really wish Cartoon Network would just stop greenlighting
Tired
that
idea.
show.
Yeah,
Like I think, if you ask me, I think Ben 10 should have ended after.
The movie for me.
Well, I like
After they
Alien
made that stupid
Force.
live action show, what was
I
it
actually
called?
didn't know that
And
existed until like a few months ago. Like I
I remember
hadn't
watching it on TV.
I hadn't heard of that until a few
Wait,
months ago. They had a live action movie.
what you mean like those live action Ben 10 movies?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I watched those movies. They really suck.
yeah, they
Yeah,
do. The kid doesn't even look like Ben 10.
they should. Some things can work
Like,
as a live action for cartoons, but others just don't do it. Really.
I don't think Ben 10, it's not that for me, I think Ben 10 could work as a live action show. Although, no, actually not show, movie, because you'd have to create AI creatures and with a low budget, like of a TV budget, I really don't think they would create good designs. They would probably have to be a movie. But anyway, I don't think it's impossible to create a good Ben 10 movie, but the problem with those other live action Ben 10 movies is that I don't think the original creators were involved. Like the director was someone completely different who clearly doesn't understand how Ben 10 works. And you can tell by how it just doesn't even feel like it belongs in the same franchise. It sounded like someone who briefly watched Ben 10 and got an idea of how it works and then try to create some nonsense. I think I hate Race Against Time the most
I remember the most. I think that
because,
was the first one.
yeah, that was the first one, because the other is Alien Swarm, and while I don't like that movie, Race Against Time was way worse. Like, because one of the things that ruined that movie was also the performance. Because the director said he wanted the vibe to feel sort of realistic and non-cartoony, but if you actually watch that movie, a lot of the performances feel very cheesy and kind of cartoony. So what was the point of he's not even gonna keep his word? Oh, what a god awful movie.
Yeah, I think it could have. I think that the new Ben 10 probably could work. It could work if they had the right people involved. Really, like you don't even have to have the original creator. You can just have people that really are passionate for this show and know how the original works. I I I still haven't watched it, so I don't know how it's like because I don't really bother with stuff like that. Like if something's rebooted, I mean it's been rebooted like 5 times within the past not even a decade. So
I think they're like first there's the original, then there's Alien Force, then
Then
there's
there's
Ultimate.
Ultimate Alien.
I think Ultimate Alien is when the franchise started to
I
Alien
remember there was
Force.
Ant-Man, then there was Alien Force, there was Ultimate Alien, and then there
Yeah.
was Omniverse.
I've heard mixed things about Omniverse, but I tried watching the first two episodes, and I realized that it wasn't really my thing, so I just kind of clicked away. Like, they introduced another character, and they didn't even bother to have Gwen and Kevin, and the art style kind of changed. And while I don't think the art style is bad, but it was just a very sudden change from what I was used to. So it kind of turned me off, and I realized that I was probably not gonna have fun with this show. So ever since, I've never really watched it. But say it's good, but I've also heard some people say it's bad, and I'll only find out once I finally decide to watch, which I don't know when, because right now I'm very sick of Ben 10. I just wish it would go away.
Yeah, I think that for a series to have a reboot, I think it has to be just extremely popular, which Ben 10 the original series was. So yes, maybe the first reboot should have been made. Maybe. I mean, probably as a business decision, I guess it was a good idea. But if that reboot failed, why make another one? If it wasn't as long lived or didn't have as much success, why make a second one or a third one or a fourth one or however many you decide to do within the first decade of its existence, of the original's existence. Uh,
I think at this point, Man of Action is just kind of things.
They gotta break up the band, guys. They gotta break it up.
Yep.
yeah, I'd say
Is awesome.
back to the original topic. I'd say the worst reboot for me is probably the Powerpuff Girls, 2016.
Well, I've said enough about the Powerpuff Girls, so yeah, I'm done with that reboot.
All right, you want to move on to the last topic?
Sure.
Go ahead.
All right, next one is going to be rebooting a show versus reviving a show. Which works out better? Like typically, this.
And I would say revival. Like, I would immediately say revival, but I think the best question is it depends.
Financially, you reboots do really well at the beginning, but they tend to dip down later. Um,
What's all the
but
hype is
generally,
behind it.
new IPs tend to be better shows.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think revivals are good when a show actually needs a revival. But when it doesn't, then what's the point? It's actually kind of better to reboot it. At least they'll have a new take on the show and not try to continue something that doesn't really need any continuation. But at the same time, reboots tend to be sometimes reboots can be a little unnecessary. Depends on what's the goal of the reboot. Like, obviously, if they're just doing it to bank on the success of the original, then very well. But sometimes you can also revive a show for the same reason, and honestly, and the result is dang, kind of insane.
Yeah, I think for some shows it could work as a reboot. For some other shows it could work as a revival. For Teen Titans, it works better as a revival
Like, here's the thing.
rather than a reboot because it did end
I
off with a
think
cliffhanger.
right. I think every show can be rebooted well. It just depends on the person who's rebooting it. Like, as long as his heart is in the right place and he actually wants to offer an interesting take, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is that, at least with Cartoon Network, the recent reboots have been the case. Like, they only have dollar signs in their eyes. They're not really honoring the original. There aren't really any inspired ideas. They're just trying to replicate that they had. That's really what it is.
Yeah, so, as I was saying, for some shows it could work as a reboot, like, well, yeah, for some shows it can work as a reboot. Other shows it can work as a revival, like Teen Titans would work better as a revival rather than a reboot. Uh, because it ended on a cliffhanger, so you typically want to have that cliffhanger, you know, resolved. Same with Samurai Jack, worked amazing as a revival because they
Yes,
had
exactly.
a story that they had to finish, pretty much. If you're just gonna revive a
Yeah,
show,
that's why I say
uh,
continue.
oh
Dude, your mic is just dying.
yeah,
Is it my mic? Because
yeah, it's kind of getting roboty.
oh, something must be wrong with the signal.
Yeah, it's like cutting off at some points.
So any other topics we have?
Oh, we don't have any
No,
more.
not really.
Yeah, pretty much. I forgot how long this has been because I have these in 10-minute segments. But you want to close off here then?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think. All right. All right. Well, that was the end of the podcast here. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in next time we have this, which will be next Tuesday, I believe. The video will be uploaded Tuesday, but I don't know when we're gonna record the next one. So anyways, have a nice day and goodbye.